it was called the wonkiest pub in Britain. Yes, you've seen the news stories over the course of the last couple of days. Up there, just outside Dudley. And yeah, the Crooked House, and it closes and it burns down. And a lot of concern from local MP and others. Could this be an insurance job? Well, Jack Carson, GB News' West Midlands reporter, is there outside what's left of the Crooked House. So, Jack, it burns down and then it gets demolished the next day. Is that right?
So it burns down on Saturday. There's about 30 firefighters that try and fight the blaze. Reported that there's a mound of dirt at the top of the access road here. Meant they had to bring in tens of metres of hose, essentially, to be able to take down the fire. Forensic teams from the police and the fire service then come in on Sunday. Monday, the police have to leave the site because they say the site is unstable. At that point, then Monday evening, this is when the digger starts to demolish this site. Now, South Staffordshire Council said that they did not give the permission for the site and for the Crooked House to be demolished completely. That was not their agreement. There was a section of the building for safety reasons that had to be taken down, but the full demolition was in no way agreed upon. So there is now this investigation with the police and the fire service, not only into the criminality. There was an update from Staffordshire Police just an hour ago that said they are now treating the fire here as arson, but of course there is now this investigation into the unlawful breach of the town and planning laws with South Staffordshire Council over the demolition itself. But the fact is, Nigel, this event, the fact that this has been demolished and the fire in itself has really caused hurt to this community, because this building, while not grade listed, and we know that there was a submission to Heritage England to have this place grade listed, the fact is that this community is really hurting, because this was an iconic building, built originally in the 18th century, stood for 200 years as a farmhouse, of course, and a pub for so many decades. But let's speak to Paul Craig, who's a local resident here. Paul, I mean, with the rubble behind you, what are your feelings like here at this site now?
Well, it's just total devastation, to be honest with you. I mean, this building was a lovely, lovely building. It was our heritage. I mean, if you get to places like around the country, like Henley and Arden, and places like that, old buildings, they cherish them. But Dudley seems to be always on the back foot when it comes to things like that. Nobody cares, and but we won't stop until justice has been served, whoever's done this. I
mean, the police have said this afternoon that they are treating this as arson. Is that a shock to you, knowing, of course, here, as you've gathered here over the past couple of days with hundreds of people?
Not at all. A blind man and his dog could see that it was arson. And but what you got to ask yourself is this: what's worse, the actual fire or the knocking of it down? I mean, that's, in my opinion, is worse than the actual fire. Because if it was just for the fire, we had some sort of chance of like repairing it. But where they've left it like this, they give us no chance, really.
I mean, Andy Street has come out quite strongly in this. Has said that this place needs to be built back brick by brick, but that was before the demolition. That makes this so much harder now to bring back the Crooked House in any shape or form.
It does, but there's a way. It can be done. It can be done. I never say never. And I mean, them putting old buildings up down the Black Country Museum all the while. I know this is a bit more difficult, but it can be done. And whoever's responsible ought to be made to put it back exactly how it was.
OK, Paul, thank you for joining us this evening. I mean, that just gives you an example, Nigel, of the strong feelings here. The fact is the local people here are not going to give up this fight until they get those answers.
Absolutely. Jack Carson, thank you very much indeed. Well, I'm sure, folks, without making any accusations, that sequence of events cannot have been coincidental.